Welcome to Afros in the Diaspora. My name is Sarah. I am your host, and together we will vent, rant, laugh, and cry as we discuss the highs and lows of being an immigrant. Stay tuned for stories that will inspire, inform, entertain, and give hope. This is Afros in the Diaspora. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Afros in the Diaspora podcast. And today we have Oga Hakeem. He is a community leader. He is a fashion designer, CEO, founder of the Fari Hara, bespoke brand for menswear here in Canada. Mr. Hakeem, how are you?
I did.
Welcome.
What's up, Sarah? Thank you for having me here. It's really good to be on here.
Yes, this is going to be so exciting. Okay, we're going to dive right into our icebreakers. And Hakeem, respectfully, I'm going to try to get you. Respectfully. Respectfully, I'm going to try to get you. So are you ready? Are you ready for us to dive into those icebreakers?
Oh, you get me with the icebreaker.
Are you sure? I feel like, because,
okay, break the ice now.
Let's break it. Okay, so Hakeem, you're Nigerian. So we're going to ask you some trivia from your fatherland and your motherland. Okay. Yeah, okay.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. All right. Nigeria is intersected by which two major rivers?
So, just for the purpose of not embarrassing me, you couldn't have given me expo before this. I have to embarrass myself.
No, this is not an embarrassing, stuff. I told you, we're going to ask you trivia about Nigeria.
I cannot lie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know it, but I will use a lifeline. And the lifeline I will use is a song that we used to sing back then. The rivers of Africa, hey. Niger, right?
Niger and one more.
Help me.
Now, Niger, Benue, Congo, Orange, Limpopo, Zambezi. So it's Niger and Benue.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Yes, you got 50%. That's not bad.
It's a pass. It's a pass mark somewhere.
Do you want options? Because I have options for these questions.
Since you've been back, well, you know what? Give me another one. Let's have another one.
Okay, let's try. We'll do a few. Okay. What are the colors of the Nigerian flag? Let's go easy.
Green, white, green. If you want me to tell you what those colors mean, I can tell you, But
okay, now shine your light.
In the interest of minding time, I won't tell you. I got 100% with that one.
Okay, no wahala. All right, so who composed the Nigerian national anthem, Arise, O Compatriots? I have options. Let me give you options. So there's Taiwo Akinkunmi, Ben Odiase, Lillian John Williams, and Flora Shaw. If you say Flora Shaw, I will collect your Nigerian ID card, your Nigerian passport, and I'll confiscate it.
It will be Taiwo Akinkunmi.
It's Ben Odiase.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's move on from this one. Let me know.
My Nigerian people, just so you know, these questions, maybe only 30% of us will be able to answer.
Remember them. Yeah.
Take test how Nigerian you are. I just want to tell you.
I know. Oh, yes.
That's a good one, though. That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, so I'm just going to move straight on to the riddles. I'm going to ask you a few riddles back to back.
So we never break the ice finish. The ice never break finish.
We're almost there. We're 50% done. Don't worry. We're in Canada. The ice is very deep. It's very cold here.
Okay. Oh, break and finish now.
Break and finish. Okay. All right. So they come out at night without being called, and they are lost in the day without being stolen. What are they?
Now will it be that now? No be spirits. Yes, now. Now, Willy Willy is that
Yo,
now.
you please. What is Willy
That's
Willy?
spirits now. Those kind of things where they wake up on night. Where would they hear the story? I never see them before.
You know, I have a different understanding of what Willy Willy is. So
Yeah,
I've never heard Willy Willy be referred to as spirit, but okay, this is a new
indulge
one.
me in your own.
My understanding of Willy Willy up until now is the reproductive organ of men. That is,
Ah, that one is
yes,
JT
that is
now.
what that now. Wait, with that.
JT.
What's it be JT?
Ah, more leave that one. More just go straight. Now we don't finish to break the ice now.
No, no, you must answer this question. You must answer this question. No, you must answer it. Okay, you said spirit. Spirit is not the answer, unfortunately.
Wait.
You have one more try. Okay, you know what? They come in the sky. They come out in the sky without being called, and they're lost during the day without being stolen.
Hmm.
That should narrow things
They
down
come
a
up in the
lot.
sky. That's very
Yeah.
poetical. Talk them again.
They come out in the sky. They come out in the sky at night without being called, and they are lost in the day without being stolen.
Hmm. How? Are you talking about stars?
Yes, stars.
How do you explain this slowly? You know, it took me to that poetic side.
Yep,
Okay, okay.
yep. All right, so we'll do one more, and then the ice will be completely
That's
broken. Okay. How many months have 28 days? Very simple.
only
How many
one. There's only
months?
one. That's February.
That's not correct. How many months have 28 days?
All the months now.
Eh.
So now on top show, you want me to just embarrass myself?
No, no.
Those are trick questions. Trick questions.
That was very, very, very. Yeah, those are riddles. Very trick questions. Yeah. Okay. Let me. Do you want one more so that you shine? Where should I
You know,
help
it's okay.
you?
You know, everybody.
Is
I've learned to learn from failure. So I've learned from this.
don't look at it as failure now. You win some, you lose some. You got some of these ones today. Okay. Yeah, no, Hakeem, thank you so much for indulging with me on this roller coaster of a icebreaker slash trivia that we're doing. Hakeem, we will be talking about your story today, and just to highlight your resilience of how you moved from Nigeria, came here as a student, and now you are like you're literally a community leader here in your city in Calgary. You own a business, like you're thriving and doing so well. And so yeah, would you just kind of take us to the very beginning of your journey of how you decided that Canada was the country we are moving to the abroad? Yeah, just take us there.
Wow, it's a whole lot, but um, I'll start. Uh, I think deciding to come to Canada back in 2000 or so, 2001 was when the idea. But I've always known since my uh, SS3 days in Nigeria, which was my last year in high school, that I wanted to come
Mm-hmm.
to a place that is not America and that is not UK. I didn't want to go to the state, didn't want to go to the UK. But those were lofty ideas because I didn't come from a family that could afford it. Looking
Right.
at um, the economic stratification that uh, my mother belonged, we didn't have the money. Just to cut the long story short, but of course,
Mm-hmm.
it was a lofty idea, by me because I thought I did well in university. I mean, in high school. So, if anything, I'll go to university in Nigeria and still be somebody in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it was a year after I graduated in high school that my mother, she said, Okomi. That's my husband. Being the firstborn, and I was like the man of the house. Okomi,
Mm-hmm.
I need Los America, which the Yoruba saying, won't you go to America with the way you've performed in school? So outrightly, I told her no. So we had a beef, a big one. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, because I was decided not to go to the state. Uh, And of course, we had a beef over something we couldn't afford, whether it was the States or elsewhere. But we had the
Right.
beef like, how dare you say you don't
Yeah.
want to go to America?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
a friend came, one of our very good friends. She was the one that just told her, hey, look, the boy is right. Canada, because I chose Canada. Canada is
Mm-hmm.
way better in terms of education, and focus as well. So
Mm.
we started processing my Canadian application. Started going to internet cafe back in
Mm-hmm.
Lagos. So
Back in the day,
back in the
yeah.
days, I think I was 2000, 2000 and I was 19, I believe. I was 19 then. Started going to Kodak Cafe, applying. Then I wanted to come here and do law, because I had an idea of the way it worked in the UK, which you could, uh, go from high school, you do your A level, then you're studying law. That was what I, knew then. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I thought it was the same thing in Canada until I started applying.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see law. I said, wow, voila. So I settled for the next thing that I was good at in school, which was economics and commerce. Apply,
Mm-hmm.
got, and this was sleepless night or inside the internet cafe. The
Yeah.
time of putting on generator. So, but it
Yeah.
was it was all worth it. Apply, got
Mm-hmm.
admission into a couple of schools, including Calgary, Windsor. Uh, then it was time to process the papers to try and get
Mm-hmm.
visa. Went to Ghana because they were not accepting international students back then. You had to go to Ghana uh, to
Mm-hmm.
process pick your visa. So for some reason, by miracle, I don't know how my mother raised money to pay 1 year school fees. It was a lot of work, but she managed to do
Mm-hmm.
it. So then I was
Mm-hmm.
convinced that maybe we could afford this thing. So
Yeah.
we got the receipt. I looked at it. Mommy, how did she kill it? Which is how did you do
Yeah.
it? What happened?
Yeah.
Um, so she had a couple of friends that helped through the process. Went to Ghana, and my mom had this habit, and I'm sure many Nigerian parents, any document, I don't know if some parents still do it now. Any document that you get, they will go and laminate it. My mother, when you say queen of lamination, so they sent the receipts from the university that accepted me, which uh, was University of Windsor. My mother went to laminate it. It was
Mm.
like, you know, priceless gold that she wanted to make sure that it was safe. Now,
Yeah.
we got to Ghana, and it was supposed to be a 2 days trip to Ghana. We got to Ghana. The first, as I went, we straight from the airport. No, we got to Ghana on Sunday. I went for the interview, the visa interview on Monday, and I was rejected. We were not expecting to be rejected, because
Mm.
we had the gold, laminated,
Golden
you
ticket. Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So the first rejection was like, no, we don't believe in this receipt. Uh, yes, you guys came from Nigeria, however misguided information that those that were there may have heard of Nigeria. We don't
Right.
believe in the receipt outright. I was like,
So they just thought it was
yeah,
faked?
because it was laminated. Now, I'll tell you a story. Every single time that because of the time difference from Ghana with Ghana and Canada, the school, the university was always closed.
Closed.
So we will make phone calls. So that was very frustrating.
Yeah.
Then I told my mother. Then we had stayed in Ghana for like about a week or more, and my mother she was the breadwinner for three generations. She took care of our parents, siblings, and us just from having one shop in Alade Market. So I looked at her like, Mommy, the miracle that it took you to raise this this money that we used to pay. If there's nobody in Alade Market, there's no we money will not come. So you go back to Nigeria. I'll tell you,
Mm-hmm.
just know I won't come back to that country. I think I was 18 then, or
Mm-hmm.
19, one of those, 18. I won't come back until they give me this visa. That one, I can guarantee you that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So she went to Nigeria. She looked at me and just like, okay, oh, what she's son
Mm-hmm.
on it is, the way. So she went to Nigeria. So I was interviewed because every time they rejected me, I kept applying. So the fourth time, so they had found a new reason, from a document that we submitted that okay, you know what they've realized, you guys you cannot afford a 4 years degree. That's a no-no. So the two other rejections were based on forget the receipt. I
Mm-hmm.
think University of Windsor had communicated with me. So it was no longer the receipt now. It was like, from the account that you people submitted, something is not accounting, So yeah. So
Right.
the next two rejections were based on that. And I just decided I stayed in Ghana. I think I stayed there for over 2 months. Just I was determined, the resilience to just, no matter what, I was determined to
Mm-hmm.
come to Canada. So the
Right.
fourth time, you know, God so have it, as He's always been there for me, He sent a helper. So it
Yeah.
was a different lady that interviewed me, and she looked at me and said, I've seen all the notes why you were rejected the first few
Mm-hmm.
times. Let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest, you cannot afford this thing. You
Right.
guys cannot afford this. Yes, we understand you paid for 1 year. We communicated with the University of Windsor, but based on visa rules, you we have to be convinced that you can afford 4 years. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? I understand that. And why do you keep applying? And it was what she said. I said,
Yeah.
because I've told my mother and I've decided, regardless of what happens, I will
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to Nigeria with a visa. So
Right.
she said, well, she had good news for me. That looking at my school results, that
Mm-hmm.
she was convinced that I would make it in Canada. But she won't give me 4 years. She gave me the 1 year visa. She was like, look,
Okay.
after this 1 year, if you cannot afford, they will send you back. So she gave me the
Right.
1 year, and the rest
Mm-hmm.
is history. I got here 2022 January. I mean,
Right.
2002 January.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how I got here.
And you literally landed in the middle of winter too.
Oh, oh my God. I landed. So my flight was routed to Dorval Airport in Montreal.
Uh-huh.
Now, I had an aunt that lived in Windsor. My neighbor in Nigeria, uh, the older sister, she lived in Windsor. That's why we decided that yes, I'll go to University of Windsor as compared to,
Okay.
as opposed to other schools. So she gave me the address from Montreal to Windsor. So when you get there, just take the train. This is, or call me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
my dear. When I got out of that airport, after I had my luggage, the wind of cold that blew in my face in January, I ran back. And when I ran back inside the airport, I had to question, myself. Maybe you should just settle with this one year and go back to Nigeria. Yeah.
Oh my days. Okay. Thank you for sharing that though. Like, cause I mean, even the um at 18, 19, like you said, to just from that age just knew that we die here. See this Ghana. I become a Ghanaian. If I don't get this my visa, I will start eating banku and egg every
And
day.
honestly,
Like,
like it was exactly what you said. To the point. So when we got to
yeah.
Ghana airport, the taxi that we got, the taxi driver became, as my mom, she was great at just being friendly. And so the taxi driver became our family in Ghana. I remember Mr. Thompson.
Mm.
Hmm.
Ah.
Uh, they even gave me a girlfriend there within the time that. But Mr.
Wow.
Thompson said, "Young man, I've seen your determination. You know, so yeah, if you need a companion to be talking to, he's just to be talking to. They gave me a girlfriend.
Wow. That's so funny. Oh my days. But like it's so cool how like God just sends people to make your journey easier in a way, right? To kind of lighten the load. To just and that thing of determination too. I feel like sometimes life will just test you that this thing that you say you want to do that you're not getting back. Let me even see how serious you are. And some people like after one or two rejections, they're like, "Oh, it's not my destiny,"
So
right?
a quick. I'll make this as brief as possible. A quick
Yeah.
note, and one of the reasons why I was very determined going to get the visa was, doing the the test because you had to do a medical test. The way I was
Mm.
scared in Nigeria. Ah, you know, I used to run. But anyways, the way I was so scared that Akim, have you done something? I couldn't think of anything specific, but I was so scared. You go to the
Right.
barber, barb your hair. Sometimes you won't take your clipper. I was doing a lot of overthinking. There was a
Right.
period when we went to actually get the actual result. Me and my mother, we sat there. I stood up, went to pray, and told God, God, if this result comes back and there is nothing, my God, there's nothing, please, anybody that needs help, I'll always be there. I made so many covenants with God. But anyway, so
Yeah.
that's why I was determined, like, you know what? I've spoken
Yeah.
to God. And yeah, that's how it happened.
That's how it started. Oh my wow, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Like it can be really tough. And I think people like kind of gloss over it that if you're in abroad, that means your family, you are billionaires. That means you are one senator's son or one, politician's daughter, or like there's a lot of like preconceived notions. Like some people don't realize the grit and like intelligence and favor really that carries people here and keeps them going. And by the time you hear people's story of where they're coming from, you will not believe your ears because of like how they have just held on and fought through every single thing that life threw their way. You know what I mean. So yes, thank you for sharing that. Let's move on to you're here, you went through Ghana, now you're in Canada, you're a Canadian, you're in Windsor in winter, right? You're about to start school. What was school like? So you came to study economics, I believe you said. So what was that like for 4 years or however long your degree was? What was that like as a Ninja guy in Windsor? You're in this new educational system. You've come from secondary education to your university education. Like, what was settling here like? What was building community like? What was navigating literally like the day to day like for you?
Well, I'll say to to start, the beginning was very rough. Uh, rough. Uh, First semester, second semester. I'll say rough from actually the first week because I had my rude awakening of culture shock.
Mm,
I remember, I
mm,
think it was my first week in university. Uh, I went to McDonald's, you know. being in Nigeria, you hear McDonald's and all of that. So I
Yeah.
went to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I went there with one of my friends and stupid boy. We got there. And, you know, all I just wanted was I knew from Nigeria they sell burger in McDonald's.
Mhm.
You know.
Mhm.
And back then, burger to me, as an Ibadan boy, I grew up most of my life in Ibadan, spent like about 4 years in Lagos before I moved down here. Burger was,
Yeah.
you know, something, and meat is in the middle. That's it.
Yes.
And that's something can be any, it could be anything. Meat is in the middle.
Yeah.
So I,
Meat is the middle. Yeah.
when it was my turn to order, I said, "Give me burger." The girl looked at me, and I said it so very confident. Give me burger. Girl said, she looked at me, just burger? I said, yeah, give me burger. Then she started mentioning, oh, what about the bun, the this, the lettuce? I didn't understand all of those things. And mind you, there were some terms that were still a bit strange to me.
Mhm.
I haven't been here for 1 week. So she was like, okay, just the burger. This girl, she went and gave me the meat.
The
Yeah.
meat.
And she was like, what about drink? I said, give me Fanta.
Oh.
That was my first week embarrassment. Yeah, I
Wow.
had another one. I rode my bike through the drive-through, arguing with them. Yeah, bloody all that time. Oh, but,
Oh my
as I
days.
was saying,
Yeah.
the first semester was very rough. I came here uh, majoring in, I believe, it's economics and accounting. Economics and accounting, I
Mhm.
believe. So. Because that was the next thing that I was good at in high school. But my
Mhm.
first semester, whether it was language shock, I thought I was pretty smart in high school. I got to university, started scoring like pure negative marks in my tests. Like
Oh
there was,
wow.
yeah. So my first semester I was on academic probation. And academic
Wow.
probation back then, if you're on academic probation twice, you get thrown out of the school or you get sent to college. Um, so by the first semester, which was a winter semester, I was on academic probation. I called my mother. I remember back then they had all this Bell payphone. I was crying on
Mhm.
payphone. Mommy moved to fail, which, in Yoruba, the meaning is, mommy, I failed. you know
Mhm.
she never really yelled at me, I because I explained. I said, Mutifelo. She was like, you know what, there's no need to cry. So what can we do? Because she was pure solution oriented. Okay, Kilamache.
Mhm.
you know I told her, okay, instead of taking the summer break off, I will enroll in school in the intersection and summer. So no
Mhm.
break, just to take a couple of classes and get the max off. The worst mistake in my life. Uh, the worst mistake because those classes were shorter classes.
Right.
Um, so uh, I failed. I failed.
Wow.
I failed. Uh, then that was when it hit me that the 1 year visa that they gave me, I, yeah. So
Wow.
luckily, one of my friend, no, it was actually a friend of a friend that I met during the process, and it wasn't. The results were not out before I knew that I failed. Because when you write the exam, and
Yeah.
you know the marks that you had before you went into the exam, you will know that you have failed even before the results came out.
Yes, that's
You
true.
know, so I knew that. Hey, while I don't share it,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
had failed. So I was talking to one of my friends in front of his other friend. Then the guy dropped a nugget. You know, he said,
Mhm.
Akeem, never say never. Boss know they die for a movie. I say, hey, see, actor, sorry, actor no dey die.
Actor no dey die for
You know,
movie.
see now you see, he never finished. I'm like, ha, okay, let me hear what this man has to say. It's like, what you need to do tomorrow, since they're still doing exams, the exam time is not over. Go
Mm-hmm.
straight to the registrar's office. Look at your results. Look at a couple of courses that you did better in. Yes, your
Mm-hmm.
major, you perform woefully. Change your major to those courses that you did better, especially if you have about two
Mm-hmm.
of them from the same department. Those courses happen to be my sociology classes.
Mm.
So I went to change it before the result came out. So as results came out, I was no longer on academic probation because I had changed my major. Uh, yeah. So, anyways, I changed my major. I decided, okay, you know what? Since these were sociology classes, I would change my major to criminology and sociology, which, you
Mm-hmm.
know, more in line to the law that I wanted to come to.
Right.
Um, so from there, I just never looked back, result wise. So,
Mm.
but it was, you can imagine how rough that first year,
Would
mentally
have
feeling
been.
like I disappointed, knowing there was no longer money coming. It was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough. But,
Yeah.
I believe my resilience, to just make sure that regardless, I'll always find solution, helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you for that little nugget that you just dropped. I don't know if any international students are listening to this, but it's not over until it's over. Actor no they die for movie. There is always a solution, and it's just about finding the right information, right? And luckily, again, God sent you a helper. Like there was just someone somewhere that said the right thing that made you that kind of helped your journey move forward, right? So shout out to those people, man, because you never can tell, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now um let's talk about in school, because I always ask this question on almost every episode about your sense of self and identity, moving from a Nigeria, like moving from a black country, Nigeria, Africa, right? And now you're in a place where it's predominantly white, and it's very like the so many things are so different. Like, did you ever struggle with finding community or trying to like readjust your idea or sense of self, or like, what was all that like? Were you like, hey, I blended easy, it wasn't really a struggle for me, you just, was that your own journey? Would you mind sharing that with us?
So I'll say my journey was a lot smooth because Windsor, the city of Windsor in Ontario, um, Windsor at that time that I got to Windsor, it was more of the hub for international students. So a lot of international students rallied around each other, you know, whether international
Mm,
students from India, a lot of international students from Pakistan, so you will literally be in class of 200 people, over 250 out of those were international students. So the same struggle that I went through, all of those people went through, but we managed to form, you know, a core group, whether in the
mm,
library, whether at the student center, and
right.
we became, I'll say, we became the major group. The, you
I see.
so culturally, we had the African Union, the Pakistani Student
Hmm.
Association that came together. So the international student became the majority, that
I see.
other culture, or the Canadians wanted to actually blend in with many of us. So the only
Mm,
place where I had issues were more of in the class with Canadian teachers. The
mm,
language barrier was there. The understanding. I remember taking one class. God. I think it was algebra or economics, one of those. Well, I think it was algebra. And then I didn't understand. Man was teaching math. I didn't understand most of the accent. He spoke faster than any, you know, body. So
That you've ever heard. Yeah.
yeah, I went to him. He actually made me push myself in Windsor. I went to him, tried to explain, like, sir, I find it difficult to understand you, and I don't. You don't have to spend extra time with me. Is it possible to assign me to one of your tutors? The guy
Right.
literally told me, look, you have to wait until the next sets that are coming, which were students coming next year because you're going to fail this class.
Ah,
Literally,
it was a
it was a
guarantee.
guarantee, you know, and that pushed me to go, I am one of the international student, a Pakistani student, to, teach me, to give me like at least an hour or two extra. So I'll say classroom, I had some difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe those difficulties contributed to my failure.
But I mean,
Yeah,
for real, like people don't realize that yes, you speak English in Nigeria, oh yes, but then they speak English here. It's English, but the dialect is different. Tongue is different, the way you hear it is different. Like the pace of speaking, they speak very very quickly. The accent is very very, especially when they're talking about, sometimes it's rough and really hard to follow just the normal hello hi conversation, not to talk of someone teaching mathematics, right, with this accent that you've never in your life had to deal with before. Like, a lot of people think, oh yeah, you just move, it's not English. I cannot count the number of times in and that's the thing, right, when you're in smaller classrooms, you're able to just say, excuse me, please, can you repeat that? Like, you can, as opposed to a gigantic classroom where there's so many people from so many faculties there. It's over 100, 200 people in one big amphitheater of a classroom, and now you cannot raise up your hand to say, uncle, please repeat it. You can't. And there's also the thing of, oh, I don't want to be the one that seems like, there's that kind of, you're self-conscious too about
exactly.
your own accent, and you're self-conscious about, what would these people think of me? Everybody looks like they're understanding. Okay, let me to be nodding my head as if I'm
So you
understanding
won't feel like
you
the
know
odd one out. Oh yeah.
yeah. Yeah, truly. And so that you won't feel, exactly, you just said it. And so I completely understand, and I hope, like, people, and lots of people will say that too. It's English, but it's
Yeah,
not
it's
really.
different.
It has a tweak, yeah. But over time your ears become, like, your ears, more attuned to the
Exactly. I
accent.
would even
And
say quicker, like it could take you 6 months to start understanding majority of what folks are saying. But
yeah.
your first 1, 2 months,
Hmm.
okay. Those are the
Yeah.
difficult months.
Difficult months. Okay. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about, because now, fast forward 4 years, you changed your course. You didn't have to. You were no longer on academic probation, and now you're graduating. So did you find that did you end up practicing in the sociology courses that you took in your new major? Did you end up practicing that, like, after graduation? Like, what was that like, trying to find a job and settling here?
No, my goal was to go to law school, be a lawyer. Uh, that's what I've always wanted to be since I was a kid.
Hmm.
So I was when I switched my major to criminology and sociology, my grades became extremely better. Uh,
Okay.
graduated with honors, but uh, I had some stumbling blocks, like financially. Uh,
Hmm.
I wasn't the way I was not receiving money every semester because it was difficult. It was
Hmm.
difficult. So I decided that um, I was going to just get a general degree, just
Hmm.
for me to have a degree. That way, my immigration point would would qualify. I mean, the degree would qualify me for some points because it was point system. I believe, I don't know if they
Yeah.
still do point system here.
Mm-hmm.
Being an international student here and graduating in Canada, it improves your chances of getting your PR. Um,
Yeah.
so, of course, it took me about 4 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it took me about 4 years to get the general degree, which is 3 years, because there were some semesters I won't be in university because there was no money.
Right.
Um, but when I actually eventually graduated with the general degree, uh, I didn't get my certificate because I was owing the university money. They just presented me a
Mm-hmm.
bill, you know, in form of certificate, so people could see.
So you use it to snap
Yeah, I use
picture.
it to snap picture. So
Yeah.
it took. I had a lot of immigration challenge. Well, yeah. Um, so it took a long time from when I graduated to when I got my permanent residence. It
Mm-hmm.
took over 4 years. Over 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So by then, when I eventually got my PR, I felt like it was a bit late, for me to start going to law school because it wasn't still the money was still not there to go to
Oh,
law
I
school.
see.
So uh, decided to move to Calgary. Did oil and gas. Uh, I mean, took some oil and gas courses, started working, and you know, even before then, back in university in Windsor, the way I supported myself was, sell clothes on campus. I was one of those guys you see with duffel bag. It-
Right.
Anything where you did find, you did inside that duffel bag. Whether it was the Evisu jeans, Red Monkey jeans, um, name it, whatever there was in style. I sold women shoes, stilettos, bras, and name it. I sold it, and
Wow.
so that's how I supported myself, and of course, a couple of mania door to door under the table knocking job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
supported myself in Windsor, and throughout my time in Windsor, God sent in a lot of helpers to me.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are my closest friends now that I refer to them as brothers, and some of them God just sent them to my life. I remember my financial difficult time when in Windsor, the church behind my house was feeding me you know. So there were a couple of challenges that God sent
Wow.
a helper my way.
Mm-hmm. That's so like God is so cool. I know this is not like a church like episode or anything, but like that's part of your story, and you're boldly declaring that. So okay, you went back and took some courses in oil and gas, and then you did it. So you basically started working in that industry.
So actually, after I got my permanent resident, I went back to University of Windsor because I only
Mm-hmm.
had a general degree, and I went back
Right.
to do another degree to complete criminology and get a degree in actual criminology and political science. So I went back just to finish that, degree. So I ended up getting 2 degrees, uh, price of one.
A round of applause.
Price of one,
The
two
price of
degrees.
one.
Yeah.
2 for 1 special. Yeah,
Uh,
okay.
then came
Um
to Calgary. I came to Calgary. Decided to take oil and gas course. I took a course in
okay.
SAIT, so I am a SAIT alumni.
Okay.
Started working in the oil and gas as an abandonment and reclamation analyst for Cenevus Energy. Did
Mhm.
that for over 3, 4 years, I believe, in Calgary
So
here.
so how did you transition to literally starting a fashion house? Like what was the transition between working in oil and gas to literally, you know, building Fari Hara?
Well, so my growing up in Nigeria, watching my mom, as being the matriarch of the family, watching and just learning from some of our entrepreneurial skills. Some of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I was helping her with at a younger age, like going to the airport, helping her deal with customs. I mean, not deal with customs, talking to customs, clearing her goods.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother sold, you clothes, gold. So she she was very fashionable. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I got my fashion, or my first love for fashion was for fashion from my mother. So just being exposed to how to run a business, or how to
Mm.
even engage people without selling them anything. Uh, so I learned that from my mother. So
Right.
in Windsor, that what got me to start selling stuff on campus. And when I moved to Calgary, I was making good money with Cenevus Energy. Shout out to Cenevus Energy, an amazing company
Mm-hmm.
here in Calgary. I was making
Yeah.
I was making good money,
Mm-hmm.
but I was not satisfied. I was
Mm.
not satisfied at all. I wanted to start something. I wanted to own my own business. So there were
Mm-hmm.
days I would go to the office, close my office door, kneel down, and start praying that God, this no be out, And of
Oh.
course, like I was making good money, so sometimes I would feel like, guy, why just appreciate what God give you. But
Right.
you know, I've said this at a speaking engagement. The moment you decide to hold on, a firm, you have a firm grip to your comfort zone.
Mm.
That's when you stop thinking. That's when you stop wanting to be better than what you are now. Many of us
Yeah.
don't. Once we start making money that we're comfortable, where when you look down, you'll see many people be below you. You start to feel
Mm.
some sort of ah,
I've
you've
arrived.
arrived. That comfort zone
Yeah.
set in.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just wanted to be better. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
have something that I could say has my DNA in it.
Okay.
So, uh, 2 years in 2020, in 2014, a friend of mine introduced
Mm-hmm.
me. I think he was looking for a business to do in the States, who is one of my, very, very good friend. Like, Akeem, let's go to China. Let's just go check out this trade fair. Happens to be the biggest trade fair in the world. So took a vacation when, you know, um, I went by myself a couple of times. I went with him once. Then I decided to go. I decided to just use my vacation period at Cenevus for specifically for taking trip to different trade fairs, most
Mm-hmm.
especially the one in China, because that's where you meet
Mm-hmm.
suppliers from all over the world.
All
They
over.
congregate
Yeah.
there. So whatever that you need that you want, you can literally find it there. And just to,
Yeah.
many people have the misconception when you say you're going to China, they think you're going to go and get Chinese made. Nothing is wrong with Chinese made products, by the way.
Absolutely
They are just
nothing.
more
Most things are made there. Most designer things we wear today,
exactly.
we see all
They're
over the
just
place, are
more
made there.
efficient out there. So
Yes.
because of the
Yeah.
efficiency, some people like, oh, it's you know, but
Low quality.
exactly
Yeah.
when
Which
you
is not true.
exactly, and when you mention China, no, I'm not necessarily going to get my products made there, but you get to meet supplies from all over the world. You get to
Mm-hmm.
interact with many of these guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
started using my vacation at Cenovus to travel. And of course, I made an intentional decision to just go blank slated. No idea of what I wanted to do. Just look around, and yeah, it just so happened that I was doing that. Then 2016, I got laid off. Fortunately,
Fortunately.
yes, fortunately, I got laid
Wow.
off.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I say fortunately, I'm not sure whether you're familiar with the Isaac Newton story, the law of gravity. That when he sat under the apple tree, and then apple fell on his head and came up with the law of
The
gravity.
law of
That's
gravity,
it. Do
yeah.
you know how many people that sat under that same apple tree? The apple fell on their head. They didn't come up with the law of gravity, but
Right.
he came up with that because all the things that he had read, all the preparation that he had done prior
Yeah.
to the moment now made sense when that apple fell on his head.
Yeah, it was in
Yes.
alignment
So
in a way.
my trip, believe a week and a half, I got fired at Cenevus April 12th, 2016.
Mhm. Wow, you know the dates.
Oh, some things that you just never forget because you don't forget not because they were bad. And that's why I said, fortunately, because
Right.
that getting laid off propelled me to be where I am today. I,
Yeah.
you learn from things that happen, whether good or bad. Uh, so
Yeah.
that date is very important to me. Um,
Right.
so fortunately for me, I had requested for vacation. No, I didn't
Mm.
request for vacation. I had booked my ticket knowing I had vacation time to use and knowing that I could get the time off if I
Mm.
requested for it. I bought my ticket, planned my trip, and I got laid off before I even put it in. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, got laid off a week after. I traveled again. I went on that
Mm-hmm.
trip, and that trip was when that apple fell on my head. That
Mm.
it wasn't a trip before or two trips before. That
Right.
particular a week and a half after was when that apple
Right.
fell on my head, and um, yeah, the rest is history.
Can I ask how you came up with Fari Hara? Because Fari Hara Custom Menswear is an incredible, company based in Toronto and, Calgary, right? Where you make menswear, bespoke, fashionable suits. Like I've seen you wear some in some events. I've seen, the website. I've heard reviews from it. Like I was on a show where we got to use you were one of the sponsors for that particular film, and we got to use your suit for that particular show. And it's just incredible quality, incredible designs, like very, very sharp looking. So shout out to you and the, Farihara team. And thank God that apple fell on your head, right? Because now you have this incredible thing, like you said, with your DNA in it, right? So, like, how did you come to Farihara as a name for this brand?
Well, thank you, and shout out to the Fari Hara team. Shout out Reed, that's my
Yeah,
business partner, my co-founder.
right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, uh, at the when I eventually uh, knew what I wanted to do, when that apple fell on my head,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
I wanted a name that spoke to my uh, background. Wanted the
Mm-hmm.
name that spoke to uh, the being an African. I didn't want, another English name, but I wanted the name to also roll out well when people call it.
Mm.
Um, I think it was one of this. I think it was probably June or so, or earlier than June. I used to go for a run with my very good friend Femi Bode George back in 2016. FBG, shout out to
FBG, Icora
FBG.
Sound.
FBG, don't say those our 12K, 10K run. At least we made something from it. And it's funny, everything that Femi does in the city, we had those conversations before we both even
Mm.
started. We had those conversations whenever we were doing our morning run or evening run.
Wow.
Uh,
Right.
yeah, so again, I left it to God that God, just uh, help me with a name because I thought I was good with words, but nothing did come. Nothing was coming. Then at the end of one run, I just thought about Safari Sahara. Uh, those were the two names that were coming to my mind. I'm like, who names their company Safari Sahara? That's so like, come on now, like that's obvious. Um,
Right.
so it dawned on me later that you know what, that those names they actually encompass like the different landscape of Africa. When you look at
Mm.
safari, it takes into consideration the Eastern Africa and the Southern Africa. And when you look at Sahara, it speaks to the Northern Africa and Western Africa. So the landscape of Africa, both Safari and Sahara. So we decided to take out SA from Safari. That's how we came up with Fari. We took out SA from Sahara, and we got Fari Hara, and it rolled out
Fari.
well, and it's become an household name now, thanks to God.
Yes, Fari Hara. And so what made you choose menswear? Because I mean I really want to hear your take on that because most people will say, oh, if you want your business to say, women buy things a lot, just go into women clothing, go into women, and you very clearly had a vision and you had a plan and you had like something you were working towards. And so what inspired menswear? I know obviously apart from the fact that you're a man, obviously, right? What was the main motivation for like, let's do menswear?
So uh, back in university, as I mentioned, I
Mm-hmm.
sold to women, but I sold more to men. Uh,
Mm,
and of course, I believe selling selling can do itself without you stating it. You can look it. Once you look
mm,
it and people see it, you don't need to sell. That right there, you become the billboard for whatever that you do.
exactly.
So with selling for men, it was easy because some of the things that I was selling on campus, I was wearing. So it was easy for me to just kind of focus with selling menswear. And even after university, I started an accessory company making ties and cufflinks. Again, men. So
Mm,
when you look at the trajectory from the streetwear to uh, accessory, then to suits, it's kind of gives you insight about my journey as a man, whether from the
mm-hmm.
young boy wearing the streetwear to fresh graduate that the only thing that will make you look official is your tie,
Your tie
So,
and cufflinks. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it was easy. I wasn't like I won't say there was an intentional decision that we would do. I'll do menswear, but the trajectory of my growth was just in
Mm,
that lane, and the apple that fell
right.
on my head again was menswear. And
Mm,
my business partner, meeting my business partner a couple of months after was he was also in menswear,
mm,
you know. But as a company, Fariara, we are. I wanted to actually correct you. We are not. We are moving to rebranding to Fari Hara Custom Tailoring because we
okay.
make garments for women now. We made
Okay.
tons of garments for TV show hosts, name it.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, yes, yes.
so we make garments for women, so not just menswear.
Not just men. Okay, that is awesome because Absolutely. Why? And because of the quality of stuff I've seen, right? I've seen for men. It's so good to hear that you're also pivoting towards making things for everyone and for women too, and making more bespoke and custom tailoring. Like that's so exciting. So yes, thank you for correcting me. And yeah, and both of us, we've talked about this a little bit before, of like how the way that you dress can literally elevate your mood, can literally, like, you wake up if you're feeling like, ugh, not so great. By the time you dress up and wear your, dress really well, look in the mirror and you like what you see, by the time you leave your house, you're walking in confidence. And there's just something that clothing does to people and for people, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. With our brand, that's the conversation that we often, whether we directly have with our clients or imply it in some of the ways that we do things. What you wear should essentially instill confidence in you,
Mm-hmm.
not just
Yeah.
wearing clothes for the sake of its clothes.
Right.
I just need to cover myself, or I just need to. When you're intentional about what you wear, that piece of clothes that you are intentional about instills some type of confidence, adds a layer of confidence to the one that you
Mm-hmm.
have, to the point
Yeah.
that the garment that you wear leaving your house may have a powerful effect in dictating your day.
Yes,
I've
actually,
had
that's true.
clients, I have a particular client, uh, shout out to Brad. One of our clients here is a lawyer in the city. And Brad literally told me, Akeem, anytime, it's never happened that whenever he wears he wears Fari Hara, he loses a case. Says never happened. He said, this were his words direct. Yeah,
Wow.
there's always an extra layer of confidence when he wears a fire, especially when he wears a three-piece and walks into the court. He said he's never
Mhm.
lost a case
A
because of
case.
how he feels in it. He sent so many clients to us. Um,
Wow.
and that is what we, as a brand, those are the type of personal review that makes us want to continue to do what we do here.
Yeah, 100%. And your story, thank you again so much for sharing, literally from the beginning to where you are now. And it's just so, it's really truly, like you said, is a story of resilience and determination and being intentional, right, with your life, with your every single step, not giving up, pushing forward. And it just instills hope. Like for me, listening to it, I just feel very, like, I feel I'm learning, and I'm learning that, okay, Sarah, the man never give up. Nigeria no, they carry last. Actor no, they die for film. Being intentional and pushing forward every single step of the way. So thank you so much for sharing that. And a lot of people, we've talked about this before, of like people using being an immigrant as some sort of a crutch, like you can't also achieve great things, right? And I mean, you're literally a walking testimony of, you've achieved incredible things, and your journey was never easy, but you were resilient and you kept going every single step of the way. And you're still pushing and pushing, and even growing your brand. Like, it doesn't even end with starting Fari Hara, it's improving it, growing it, right, from a menswear to a tailoring, a house where you cater to everyone, right? Can you speak a little bit on that, of just like that thing of, yes, you're an immigrant, so what, you can achieve the greatest things too.
Yes. How, I've grown. I guess every year, or every experience that happens to me, I have grown from them,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what the results of those experiences. Sometimes
Yeah.
the results of those experiences may not necessarily be what I anticipated, uh,
Mm.
but I have grown from it. So I will use this opportunity to speak to anyone who feels like being an immigrant is or can contribute to them not being the best version of themselves. Look, regardless of what you're going through, I've gone through, is it immigration issues? Is it culture shock? Is it language barrier? Name it. I have gone through, and which I believe many of you or many people listening to this, you have gone through similar things. But
Yep.
I think it's really important to equip ourselves with actor no dey die for movie, which means
Yeah.
the main character in the movie does not die or does not give up.
Yeah.
Uh, there's more to the power of resilience than
Hmm.
we decide to do. Because when you're resilient, you continue to learn. And being resilient to me is learning from every single situation.
Yeah.
So I came here as an immigrant, as an international student.
Hmm.
Immigration wise, I've had the deportation letter to get out of the country.
Wow.
It still did not hold me back.
Hmm.
Uh, so, regardless of what you're going through, let's not hold on to the firm grip of our comfort zone. You're comfortable with making an excuse. You're comfortable
Hmm.
with just reaching out for the most convenient excuse. Let's not hold on to that firm grip because you will not amount to anything other than, now because I know they my country, now because I'm an immigrant. Whatever that you're doing in your country, or whatever you intended to do where you come from, you can do that times 10 here in Canada. So,
Or wherever you
or
are,
wherever you are.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And that's literally the truth. Like I've heard of, because the tax system here, TAX, like the system here, with taxes, there are literally people who, because some people, I've heard stories, man, and folks come here, whether it's on, refugee status or whatever, and they're just like, well, because they have government support, and with government support, the moment you start earning a particular amount of money, the government support stops. So I've literally heard of people who will choose not to work because they don't want the support of the government to stop. Even if they could be making more than the government is giving them, because it's not a ton of money, right? Even though they could be making more than what the government is giving them, they would rather not work. It would just do well, I don't like the government. Or there are people that will refuse to work more than a certain level because they don't want to pay more than a certain amount in taxes. Like there's so many different, like, and you just hear these stories of people. I'm like, bro, like like in a lot of these countries, you're afforded opportunities that you may not get where you're coming from. Why not take advantage of it, right? and
Exactly.
and it's mind-boggling to me. So that's why I love your story of resilience so much. Like you've literally, like you were saying, financial struggles, immigration struggles, language barrier, cultural struggle, like it just all of it, right? So even building your own company from scratch, I'm sure that was not easy, because it's not easy, right, to do anything from scratch. So like kudos and shout out to you for sharing your story, for your own resilience in your own journey, and how far it has taken you. Like shout out shout out to you,
Thanks. I
Hakeem.
appreciate it.
And yeah, and thank you for coming onto this podcast to share your story, and just leave us with so much knowledge and hope, and inspiration, I guess, will be the word I'm looking for. Inspiration to just buckle up and keep going. Would you like to leave a word of wisdom? I feel like you've already done that with act or no they die for movie. I feel like that's literally the word of the day. But would you like to leave us with a word of advice, word of wisdom, proverb, anything? Or you can also go with that. Like, it's up to you.
Well, so what I'll say for those that wherever you are in the world, I know it's easy to sit here and say, you know, don't reach for an excuse, or don't hold on to the firm grip of your comfort zone. It's easy to say that because I have been through it. I've been through it, but for some people that you want to get off that comfort zone, but you just don't know how. What I
How?
will recommend, look for relatable success stories around you.
Hmm.
Um, where we live here in Calgary, there's the Charles Osuji, there's
Mm-hmm.
the uh, Patrick Okose, there is the Wale Johnson, the Nelson Osamudian. Uh, look for success story. You know, there's Richard Amatoku. There are a lot of
Yeah.
people,
There's Wumi
Wumi
Dowu doing
Dogu, like
incredible
there are a
things.
lot
Yeah.
of people that came here as immigrants that you can look at their stories. Wherever you are, just look for relatable success story. People that you see around you. Start from them.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that's all I can say to anyone. I guess if that is a advice of wisdom or word of wisdom or story of wisdom.
I mean, it is though, because sometimes it can be so far. It can look so far fetched that I want to get from point A to point B, but how? Like I can feel stuck. But you're right. By the time you look around and you're like, oh, there, this person, you see them around, hear about them wherever you are, whether you're in the U.S., in the UK, Russia, China. I don't like. It doesn't matter. But you hear about people who kind of did it, and by you read about their story, or if they're accessible to you, you can even literally sometimes just offer to take them for coffee, to just ask them some questions about their own journey. You might be so surprised by how willing people are to share and to help others out.
Exactly, exactly. And
Yeah,
mentorship doesn't have to be. It could be, and I don't like to use the term mentorship. The term mentorship makes sense when you get to a certain phase when you've made a decision in your mind that regardless you want this person to, you know, uh,
true.
help
So
you,
true.
but
Yeah,
you can learn from other people's stories, and
yeah,
maybe you just need to hear their story like you've heard some of mine today,
yeah.
or you take them out for coffee to just tell you their stories, and
Hmm.
you may find something that lets that apple drop on your head.
On your head. Like, honestly, you've dropped a few nuggets, man. The apple falling on the head, Isaac Newton's story, to act on what they carry last, to like look for relatable success stories around you. Like, that's a really good key. Um, okay, as we round up, Mr. Hakeem, would you like to leave your information on maybe social media, your social media info, or your even for your business for Fari Hara, just so people can go check it out, go check out your social media, or check out Farihara, maybe the website, anything like that you'd like to share.
Well, the website for the company is Farihara, FARIHARA.com. Instagram is Fari_Hara, HARA.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can reach out to us as a company, but if you want to reach out to me as an individual, you can reach out to me on Instagram, which is just JUST_I_law, LAW. That's my
Hmm.
Instagram handle. Yeah, or if you see me on the street, could go for coffee. I'm happy to sit down and have conversation. All right. Thank you so much, Sarah, again for
Yes.
having me.
Yes, thank you so much for coming through. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for just like leaving us with that word of wisdom. Thank you for your, motivating us and giving us hope, and it's motivating us to be resilient and to just keep going, that by pushing forward you will move forward. So thank you once again, Hakeem, and to our listeners, we're gonna say bye bye until our next episode. Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Afros in the Diaspora. I hope this episode left you feeling inspired and hopeful. To engage, feel free to like, follow, share, and subscribe to Afros in the Diaspora on all social media and podcast platforms. Remember to leave a review and a rating. If you would like to be a guest, please reach out. Send an email to hi@afrosinthediaspora.com. That is hi@afrosinthediaspora.com, or send us a DM on Instagram at afrosinthediaspora. Remember, there is beauty in our stories and power in our voices. Together, we are stronger. Until next time.